All right, let's see here. Let's see how heavy this thing is. Ooh, yeah, it's heavy. I would say that's probably maybe like 300 pounds or 400 pounds. I don't know, hard to say, but definitely no problem for the engine lift. I think I'm gonna back this thing up though a little bit more. I wanna get this as close to the center of this as possible. I'll probably have to pull off this piece of wood here too. It's almost there, but man, I just really need this stupid wheel up because I don't know, I've got so many pieces to take off this thing, it's gonna be a struggle. So I'll keep trying to jack this up, I guess, and hope I get this wheel off here. All right, well, I think I found the problem. It seems as though this leaf spring hanger does not exist anymore, which is crazy. That's why we're getting basically an infinite amount of flex. That thing just snapped off of right here, I guess. And what's strange is that I don't see it down there, meaning that maybe it snapped somewhere in New Mexico or something. I have no idea. Yikes, yeah, that's insane. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna get this tire off. I don't think I have a choice at this point, so let's put it back down and we'll just make do. Go. Woo. Okay, it's kind of balanced. Actually, could you kind of just hold, just if you like it's barely. I'm just gonna pull this back. It's heavier than I thought it was. Not 100% sure how we'll get it down and then get this out.
Okay, slower.
Okay, we got the first one down. This thing is very heavy. I didn't expect it to be so heavy, but we got it, and I got it kind of hanging up on some bricks here so that we can, I guess the idea is to be able to slide the legs in and out, and then I'll stack all 4 of the ramps on each other with 1 brick each. That way we can still get the rope around it. Yeah, let's get going on the other 3. Spectacles on.
Yeah, safety first.
It will take a second.
Just gotta look away.
It's not gonna get you from there.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, that happens. That means we're getting somewhere.
That was insane.
All right, I got this thing all loaded off the thing, the trailer, which I'm gonna hopefully sell maybe today, hopefully very, very soon, because I have nowhere to store this. It's gonna probably sit here until I can find somebody to buy this thing from me. So it is officially for sale if you're in the Los Angeles area and you need a 15-foot flatbed trailer, which is kind of maybe not a common thing to need in LA, but give me a shout. This thing is for sale. And same with the truck, although I'm gonna keep the truck for a little bit. I think that's gonna come in handy. This thing made it. I kinda like the truck. This thing, I've kind of bonded with it, so I think I'll keep that one for at least a little while. But yeah, got the lift. I guess all the parts moved into the garage. This was heavy. This was very, actually very heavy, but you know, 2 people in an engine hoist, and it wasn't too bad as long as you get it to balance and all that stuff. The legs are not heavy at all, but these posts here are insanely heavy. This steel here is like, I don't know, it's like a 1/2-inch strip of steel that goes all the way down. So these guys must be like hundreds and hundreds of pounds each. And these ramps are crazy heavy, but that's good. I'd rather them be very surprisingly heavy than surprisingly light, because my car will be sitting on this and I will be under the car. So this thing, so far so good. This thing looks really solid. I can't wait to get this thing built up. Okay, so today we're gonna try and install a roll-up garage door on this guy. I've never done this before, but that's never stopped me before. So the contractor that did all my work wanted $3,500 to install this guy. So yeah, I'm gonna do it for free. Let's get started. All right, so I just got these brackets bolted on there. That's what the, whoa. Whew. That's what the roller is going to bolt onto. Let me put this here. Okay, that's what the roller is gonna bolt onto. Yeah, and then it seems like this guy just pretty much goes flush with the wall, and I'm gonna put this edge right up to this edge right here. All right, got this first one on here, and this thing is looking laser straight. I don't know if you can see that. Somehow I can't see it through the screen, but that is, oh, there it goes. 89.9. That's about as close as you can get to, well, 90 degrees, which is 0. Oh, yeah, I guess that's 90 degrees. And this way too, although 89.9, same, awesome. Oh, there you go. Look at that, perfect, baby. 90 degrees. Although I imagine this thing, oh, you know, I bet this is pretty rigid. I don't imagine it wobbling at all, but you know, you look at it, it's level. We're good. That's square. I'm proud of that. All right, it's the next day, and I decided to go ahead and play it a little bit safe and grab one of these material lifts from Home Depot. Rented this guy. It was like 50 bucks. And I'm thinking this thing, instead of using some sort of like pulley system on the brackets, which some people seem to do up here on the triangle brackets, I'm just going to use this lift, which should lift up the door about 12 feet, or which should lift up the door up to 12 feet. I think I only need to get it up about 9 feet or so. So first step, I got to move this guy. Oh, I guess first step, I got to get that thing out of the truck. Then we'll get this guy moved, and we'll get the door into position. All right, got this thing up on the thing, got the thing on the thing, and now comes the fun part. This is gonna be by far the sketchiest section of this whole ordeal, and that's lifting this guy. I don't know how heavy this is, but online they say these range from like 300 to like 1,000 pounds. The fact that I can pick it up fairly easily on one end. Makes me feel like it's much closer to 300, maybe 400 pounds is my guess. And this thing can support 450 pounds. So I'm pushing it a little bit for sure. Fingers crossed that this goes well, but it's gonna be dangling up there and it's even a little bit windy today. So I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Wish me luck. Okay, got this guy on there. Perfect, looking good. So what I gotta do now is preload the spring tension. So I gotta roll this thing 2 revolutions inward, or I guess whatever, that direction, before I cut all this plastic. The plastic is kind of keeping everything together until I do that. So I guess I gotta put the camera down, do those spins, and then we can cut the plastic and unwrap this huge garage door. I'm so excited. Okay, that was intense. I a little bit underestimated what it would take to turn this thing. That was definitely not a one-person job. Whew. But I got it wound up with some help and into the track, and then I got my 2 little locking pins there and there. And this is the moment I've been waiting for. I waited until I got my camera. Boom, garage door, awesome. All right, I got the thing in, got the power ran, and I even got a key fob. Let's check this thing out. Perfect. I'm so happy with this door. It's pretty much silent, which is crazy. I heard all about how loud these things were, and this thing is way quieter than my old garage door. And I'm super happy that I tried to do this myself. I saved myself $3,500, which is insane that would even cost that much, because one person can do this by themselves, except for about a 10-minute little preload for the spring. But otherwise, one person in about one day, I would say like 8 hours. And I've never done this before either. The cost of labor and the cost of building stuff is crazy, man. It's just out of control. And yeah, there you go. All right, so a little information on why I went with this particular lift. This is a double 4-post lift, so it's gonna have ramps for 2 cars. And this is an extra large, whatever, XL lift. So I went with the double lift, obviously because I wanted to keep this middle area completely open. And by going with like the extra large double lift, I'm able to put the posts basically on either side of the garage door. So I can keep this whole pass-through area open. I actually sometimes drive cars into my backyard. So yeah, that's why I went that route. Also, I should be able to fit 2 cars in here. It's gonna be real tight because of course I have these whatever sloped roof. So I think if I have 2 low cars, I guess if I have 4 low cars or average height cars, I should be able to fit them. I'll have to duck under the lift, but that will be super helpful to be able to stuff 4 cars into this thing when I need to. But I think most of the time I'll have the lift all the way up and I'll have 1 car in the middle. And that brings me to why I got the extra large sized lift, because generally 4-post lifts come in 2 different sizes, and the larger one is a lot longer, and it's actually going to span the entire length of my garage. I didn't necessarily care for that. In fact, I probably would have not gone that route if I could, but the extra large lifts lift your car up high enough for me not to have to duck under. And that was a huge, basically like a requirement for my lift. Since this thing is really going to be, it's going to be like the new roof of my garage. Definitely the dominant piece in here. So I did not want to have to duck under and hit my head and all that kind of stuff. I want to be able to stand up at full height and work on stuff, or just ignore the car while it's being stored up there. And this guy should raise up to just under 7 feet. I think right around like 6'9" or 6'10", somewhere around there when it's down onto its latches. So that's perfect. Now, the big probably question here is, why did I go with the 4-post lift? And obviously, other than the fact that I wanted to keep this area clear and pass through and all that stuff, I have a 2-car garage. I live in the city, and that's absolutely the biggest garage you're probably going to find within reason around here. And I have more than 2 cars that need to be parked in the garage. So this will mostly be for storing probably my Challenger up top and give me access to work on cars underneath here. But of course, I am going to use this to work on cars from underneath. That's something I'm extremely excited about. I mean, I've spent so many hours, I don't even know, hundreds of hours underneath cars, pulling transmissions out and welding exhausts and all that stuff. So, and I do acknowledge that 2-post lifts are better in that way, you know, because you have the wheels off the ground and all that stuff. But they do sell these little, they call them like bridge jacks, that you can put in between the lifts, the ramps rather, and it'll be like 2 posts that lift up the car from the frame so you can still work on the wheels. So you really still can use these guys to work on suspension. So yeah, I guess let's get going on this thing. I'm gonna try and do this by myself because that's the way I do things around here. So we'll see how this goes. Oh, and this thing was quite an ordeal to get. As I said, I had to drive to Dallas and all that stuff. And getting these things back to your house safely, and even like to the warehouse safely, I know can be kind of an ordeal. But even just locating one of these things, yeah, it's not easy to locate these sometimes. So I want to give a shout out and thank Heavy Lift Direct. Those guys were awesome. Kind of like a smaller shop, so you can actually talk to the guy on the phone and organize stuff. So I appreciate you, and I'll put a link to their website in the description. If you're looking for your own lift, that's a good spot to get it. All right, so first step, actually the first couple steps are done here. I've got some tape marking off the footprints of all of the things, of the posts. Then I got these giant, extremely heavy crossbars, and I'm talking like crazy heavy. I could barely even lift this thing up on one side. So I got these kind of laid out. That's kind of gonna be the frame of this thing, and as you can see, this is the absolute largest lift that can possibly fit in this garage. It's almost right up to the wall over here, just about 2 inches, 2 inches, same. This is exactly, it's gonna be exactly the opening of the garage here, which is pretty sweet. That was kind of what I was going for. It's almost like, in fact, it'll definitely be like it's totally hidden until you walk in. So the next step is to start building these guys, but before I can do that, unfortunately, I have a little bit of a concrete situation, and I don't know if you can tell, but this thing is very much crooked. In fact, let me, yeah, we're only a couple degrees off, but it's very noticeable in person. I don't know how well it is or how noticeable it is on camera, but that's a problem. So I'm gonna have to move this guy back and grind some of this concrete down. I probably should have told the guys to make sure this stuff was completely perfectly flat, at least in these 4 footprints. 2 of them are good, and I'm gonna have to grind this guy off as well. It's also a little slanted. All right, let's go get dusty. All right, we made a little bit of progress here. me and Tumbleweed. We got the bars bolted together. So this is the main crossbar here. I got the other one here. I actually had these outer posts backwards, so I had to bolt them all together, unbolt them, switch them, and then bolt them back together. Pretty tired at this point, but they're all good. They're in, they're locked. And absolutely the only way to move this thing is with the engine hoist, because this is now insanely heavy. This was already incredibly heavy, and these were just normal heavy. All combined, insanely heavy. Okay, I've got these things, I think pretty well positioned. I think pretty solid. I hope so. Yeah, I just measured a million times. I put all the markings down here. Well, maybe I measured maybe 4 or 5 times, and I got all of the distances dialed into like a 1/16 of an inch, so they're all pretty much spot on square. I got the top bolts in there, and then I got these little side bolts in there just to make sure these things are all square, and they're all looking pretty good. I think that's pretty much as square as it's gonna get. On 2 of these little bolt holes here, these guys, the bolt hole was off just a little bit. There is a little adjustment left to right, but up and down it was just a little bit too high. I had to shave off just a little bit of that guy with the carbide bit here. Not a big deal, but that's something to be aware of. And one thing I noticed too, there is a little crack right here on the edge of this guy, but I don't know if that happened maybe when I let it drop, or I don't know, I can't imagine it would crack. But I'm gonna go ahead and just like channel that out and throw a little bead of weld so it doesn't get any worse. Other than those 2 tiny issues, this thing is really bolting in perfectly, so can't really complain. Those are pretty minor issues, and you gotta kind of be ready for stuff like that. But I realized very quickly that I 100% am going to permanently bolt this thing into the ground, because it's a little, there's some movement. I don't think I would use one of these things without bolting it into the ground, at least not one of these big ones. Not all of these posts are, in fact, you can clearly see that one is a little bit leaning to the side, but actually this thing comes with shims, so that's awesome. You know, I don't think any garage floor is going to be absolutely perfect, so I don't want any sort of wobble on this guy. That would freak me out. But I think just considering how kind of wobbly this thing still feels and how easily these legs can pivot, I'm gonna go ahead and drill in those anchors now. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm pretty confident that it's where it should be. I think it's definitely close enough, so it's hammer time. I've got a hammer drill here and a concrete bit, so we'll do some holes, do some anchors, and then we'll be ready to, I guess, finish this bad boy. All right, I got all of the bolts in. That was quite a workout with that hammer drill, but they're looking pretty good actually. And I learned that shimming is the key to getting these guys to be straight. Just like half of a degree or even like a third of a degree off, it's gonna throw this whole thing off and you'll be touching in the back and the front or whatever. So if you're doing this yourself, shim it to absolute perfection just to dial it to that perfect like 89.9, 89.8, like right there. Some of them are exactly 90 degrees. Yeah, there isn't a whole heck of a lot left to do. The next thing I got to do is put these two ramps on there. I'm going to do, at this point, a little bit of a mod to this thing. Now, in fact, here, let me look at the diagram here. This is where the ramps are supposed to go from the factory. But what I want to do is I want to have the option of parking one car in the very middle of the lift here. So obviously these are a little bit too close together to park a car right in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install my two ramps actually slid over a little bit. And I'm thinking I'm actually going to use this bolt hole as instead of the right hole, I'm going to use it as the left hole. And then I'll drill something, you know, somewhere right here, which I know it's a little crazy to mod something like this, but as far as I can see, if this thing supports two cars on either side, or even like one car on one side and then this side empty, one car in the middle should be absolutely fine, because that's, if anything, spreading the weight out even more and kind of making it more even. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, got the cables ran, all four. Definitely seems like there's gonna be some adjustment to be made there, but I also got this guy bolted up here, and I went ahead and flipped it backwards. It's actually supposed to be pointed this way, but I can't because there's a wall there. So it kind of seems like the orientation of this doesn't really matter too much though. Yeah, as long as I can get to the hydraulics here, I should be okay. And as long as it doesn't touch the ramp, it should be not a problem. And of course, I'll be using the middle ramp most of the time anyway, so it's not like I'll have this wall of car like coming straight down in front of me. So I think this will do for now. And next I gotta hook up these hydraulics. Okay, let's get these guys on there. All right, I got the hydraulic lines installed. Got some kind of some temporary wiring going, a little dangling there, but we'll leave that. In fact, I'll just go ahead and. All right, that's a little nicer. Oh, okay. Never mind that wiring, but I'll get that situated later. And I got some number 46 hydraulic fluid. I guess that's the last step. Last thing I got to do, just add this stuff. I know there's going to be a little bit of adjustment with these cables here. I think there might not be a way to do that until I can start moving this thing up and down. So, it's almost ready. Okay. Ooh. All right, let's get this thing filled up with some fluid and give it a shot. Okay, test run. Okay, here we go. I think it probably has to fill up with hydraulic fluid.
Oh yeah, they tightened.
Yeah, they did. Okay, so now I have to make sure to guide.
Here we're not.
Okay. It's a little crazy. You ready?
Wait, is it gonna go up?
I think it will. Oh, that's the safety latch.
Oh my
It'll
god.
click all the way up.
Okay.
It's so big. Okay. Here we go. That's the height. Oh my god. Oh, got a little leak of hydraulic fluid here. I just gotta tighten the fitting probably. Oh, it's up. Oh my god. Oh, this is so awesome. I love it. Oh, this is so cool. My Challenger's just gonna be right here. Woo! All right, the lift is officially installed and officially lifting, and this thing is super, super awesome. I am so happy. I'm so stoked. It's, I was worried when I I had this idea that it would be a little bit claustrophobic in here, but I actually have a good bit of, here, I don't know if you can see, but I have a good bit of headroom. There should be something like, I think like 6, 7. In fact, actually, let me measure it. Actually, my measuring tape is up there, so we'll measure this. I'll measure it tomorrow, but definitely the thing that really stands out like right away when you see this thing is just how insanely massive this thing is in here. I'm sure partly because this thing just is legitimately huge, but this is obviously the smallest garage that you could possibly fit this thing into. So yeah, it's quite a sight to see, but I love it. It's so cool. I can't wait. It's gonna look even more insane when I just have the bottom of my Challenger as my ceiling here. Yeah, I think for now, there's a lot of stuff to clean up. I definitely do want to adjust a little bit, and tomorrow I'll try and drive something up there. Ah, this is awesome.